We are live. Hello. I'll just set that timer. Tried to do this with my phone and it cut out after 5 minutes. Less than 5 minutes. Oh, you can actually see the timer. I'm running a YouTube video on the Xbox that's got a countdown timer so that I can keep track of how long I've been talking and wind it up in the last 30 seconds or whatever. Not to get cut off, you know. I got a lot of topics to talk about, but I'm going to today try and fill you in on what I've been through. I appear to have had a colorectal tumor for at least 10 years. It caused me to gain a massive amount of weight, and it stole all my energy and eventually not only my vitality, but even my mental skills and abilities, and then finally my physical skills and abilities, and ultimately all the weight that it put on. It didn't take the weight. I did that. I started fasting spring of 2015 to try and deal with the blockage because the tumor had now grown big enough to block exit. But typical of the medical health system, because I was a female and not an ordinary, not a nice, respectable, understandable female, but one of these weird ones that are probably crazy, you know. Apparently, insanity is one of those mysterious things that causes people to think they have medical problems, and all you really do is you shuffle them off out the door, especially females. So instead of getting any kind of tests of any sort for anything or any kind of actual mental effort to figure out why is this woman not as well as she thinks she should be, they just kind of said, well, you know, take more laxatives, eat more fiber, drink more water. And I didn't have any, you know, I don't keep logs of things, and I didn't have an app on my phone yet. I've got a Fitbit now. Woohoo! That's helping me keep track, and I can prove now to these doctors, no, look, this is how much water I drink in a day. This is how much fiber I get. Look at my diet. I mean, you've never seen a diet more carefully planned, maintained, and executed than me. I just, especially, thank God for the paleo diet the last 3 years. It has made a huge difference in not only my ability to withstand being sick, but my recovery and my tolerance of the treatments that they put me through. So let's fast forward to last winter when Dan finally started to take me seriously. I had gone from 165 pounds to 115 pounds, and I was gray and limp and barely there. I was speaking in a very quiet voice. I could hardly lift a hand. And it was yet another one of these, he picks a fight with me because he's mad at me for playing sick in order to get out of things. I'm not even sure what exactly logic goes on behind there when a person is sick and you think that they're doing it to you. But he had picked a fight with me again, and I had once again tried to kill myself through. By now I knew I couldn't starve myself to death. That was my original thought. It was like, I'm going to starve myself to death because I can't stand this life anymore. Yeah, okay, I don't want to start crying in this video. So fast forward. By now I knew that wasn't going to work. And at some point I just went, you know, Dan's got to understand I'm really sick. So I went down and I talked to him. I explained that, you know, he says he loves me, but if he really loved me, why hasn't he hauled me off to ER yet? So that night we went to ER. It was like the middle of the night. He was supposed to be getting ready for bed, but instead we wound up spending 4 hours in the ER to be sent home with a prescription for a yet more powerful laxative. And so about 3 days later, it was obvious that that was just not an answer and not a proper response. And so we went back, we got x-rayed. Dan was a little more forceful. We got me x-rayed. I looked like the mother of the 101 Dalmatians. I was so full of food that had not left my system. And so they scheduled a colonoscopy. The colonoscopy doctor only got about this far into me to discover that I was completely blocked with tumor. I had like a keyhole-size opening through which grains of rice might fit, you know, or coffee grounds. And thus ensued a few weeks of even more powerful laxatives, because any way you shake it, that little keyhole's got to let stuff out before they can do anything. And then they brought me into the hospital, and they bypassed the tumor by giving me a colostomy, which is to say a poop bag on my stomach, and I'm stuck with it for life. So then they scheduled me for chemotherapy. I went through that in the summer, and I flew through it with flying colors. It didn't bother me in the least. And again, I blame paleo diet. I did have some nausea, but gravel was enough. So I just stuck with the gravel. I did get radiation burns, and that got ugly. But I used my herbal knowledge to create healing salves, and got through it. And then they scheduled me for surgery in August, and all of the stuff that got radiation burned was sliced out. They call it a VRAMP, vertical rectus abdominis muscles. And what they do is because they have to cut so much flesh out of my back end in order to get rid of all of the cancer. They took out my uterus, my rectum, my anus, my perineum. And then they had to stitch it all back together, and they can't just stitch it together. It'll just keep ripping open. And plus, in behind it, where all of that meat was, a pound of flesh, they've got a big open space that's not supposed to be open. So what they actually did was they sliced off a piece of one side of my abdomen muscles, 2/3 of the muscle. They were able to leave a piece. It all comes down to where your veins are and whether or not they can leave veins attached. Flipped it around, stuffed it through me, through the train tunnel they had carved, and patched me with it. So I've been healing from that since August, and I'm quite well healed up, and I've been in to see the oncologist, and now they're going to put me through another round of chemo. A standard practice for this kind of cancer. It kills off any stray cells that are still floating around. And so winter's going to be interesting, because the stuff they give me makes me hypersensitive to cold, and I'm already hypersensitive to cold. Except now all of the discomfort that I enjoy when I touch cold or breathe cold or encounter cold is now going to have the added benefit of potential permanent nerve damage. So I've been doing my research, because that's what I do. I do my research. Sorry about that. And this apparently protects the nerves from the damage of the calcium leaching with the oxaliplatin. It's made from platinum, oxaliplatin. It's a 4th generation platinum drug. It takes all of the calcium out of your bones, out of your system. So you keep putting in extra heavy duty calcium to make up for it, to reduce the amount of calcium that's leached from your bones. But your nerves require calcium. Think of it as the protective wax on your paint job. And this is the Rain-X that goes over the protective wax. So with this and with this, I may be able to avoid the side effects of oxaliplatin treatment. And I don't know. I mean, life's an experiment. I believe that for every problem, there's way more solutions than you realize. Even if you don't know of a single solution, there are solutions. And maybe nobody in the whole world has invented that solution yet. But that doesn't mean you can't figure it out if you just keep trying. And I get frustrated when I can't figure out a solution. I'm down to 1 minute and 36 seconds in my 10-minute video. So we're going to wind this one down, and we're going to start another one and talk about, instead of just the events, I'll talk about what it was like, I guess, go into more depth. Because I don't have, I don't even know what they call those accounts where you've got more than 10 minutes, but I uploaded a video of myself that included some clips of me dancing to copyrighted music, and the clips were like 6 seconds long, but it was enough nevertheless to trigger the copyright thing. Plus I had a wedding video that used my husband and I's favorite song during our courting period, which was then copyright again. And they decided to allow me to use it with ads, but I can't monetize that ad. And, so if I get copyrighted music in anything, then it can cause me not to be able to monetize my channel. And I really want to monetize this channel. I'm hoping it'll help supplement my income over the years as I get older and we hit retirement and, our financial situation changes. And that's also something I'd like to vlog about. So I'm going to stop this video here and upload it and make another one.